So it flew in Vietnam. That is awesome. You better keep that safe.
Okay, Jared, I want to sit down.
Money.
Folks, turn. Rest.
No good thing, do you?
Folks, turn. Parade, rest. Good morning. The town of Mathiston would like to welcome you today to our annual Memorial Day Remembrance Program. Mayor CArden is recovering from a couple of surgeries, and I just spoke with him just a moment ago. He texted me and said, "I'm sorry that I can't be there, and please let everybody know that I would be there if I could." So we'd like to remember him. We do our prayer this morning. We'd like to remember him. He's doing well. He's recovering from his surgery, but we would like to remember him today as he recovers. We'd also like to say a special word of thank you to our local VFW and to our veterans who made the march this morning. Y'all don't know how much it means for our community. I promise I'm not going to turn this political. I'm not going to. But we live in a world in the United States right now and around the world where we see a lot of problems. We don't see a lot of community involvement. We don't see a lot of civic pride. But our community is standing here today and saying that we commit ourselves to this country, to its foundings, to its documents, to our Constitution, and a love and a sense of pride for where we live. And I wish that was the case everywhere. And our prayer is that it be that way. So thank you very much for what you've done. Thank you for your march, and thank you particularly for your service. I would like to say that I think this is probably the most important civic event that you can attend locally. We have 21 names on our Veterans Monument. 21 people, the vast majority of whom were not career military. The vast majority of them, because I've done the research, the vast majority of them volunteered during times of war and put aside their dreams and the things that they wish to do individually so that all of us today might have the freedoms that we have. And that's extremely important that we gather and recognize those people. So thank you for being here. Now, I want to say one word for my Interact Club students who are passing out American flags today. And again, I promise this is not a time for politics, so I won't make it that way. But is it not refreshing to see young people at an event like this passing out American flags rather than on some campus somewhere protesting against American values?
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Thank you, guys. I'm also a U.S. history teacher, so I promise I'm going to keep this brief as I possibly can, but I want to tell one story. Again, these kids, most of them I taught this past year, so they thought they were done with me with U.S. history, but not one more time. And this is kind of a world history event, but I want to say one quick story. Long time ago, there was a writer named Thucydides, and he wrote about a war called the Peloponnesian War. It was between two world powers at that time. One of them was called Sparta, and the other one was called Athens. And the Athenians were kind of the democracy. They were the people who wrote poetry and did the things like artwork and plays and those kind of things. And the Spartans were very warlike. At about the age of 7, these young kids in Sparta were trained, these young boys, to become military people for the rest of their life. And that's where we get the term Spartan diet, because they lived just so intensely. So the Athenians got the idea that they were not going to be able to stand up to the Spartans unless they looked more aggressive. So they went to a nearby neighbor, another city-state, but a small city-state, and its name was Melos. And we call those people the Millions. the people from Milos. And their decision was, we're going to take over these people, and we're going to subjugate them and make them part of Athens, so we will look aggressive to the rest of the world. And so instead of sending a delegation, they sent their army. They sent 39 vessels, and they sent all these troops, and they were magnificently arrayed with all their weapons and everything. And so when they got there, they went to the leader of the millions, the person in charge of Milos, and he said, we need to have a dialogue about what's going to happen. And they said, we want you to become part of us. We want you to become part of Athens. And we're going to protect you from those Spartans. And the people of Milos looked around and they said, well, we don't see the Spartans, but we see you and your military here threatening us. And that doesn't quite add up. They said, oh, but it will be great because you'll be protected by us and you won't have to do a thing. And the people of Milos said, what is the catch? And they said, every year you give us part of your crops, because we know you're not fighters, you're farmers. So every year you give us part of your crops and you won't have a problem for the rest of your lives. We're going to leave now. We're going to give you time to think about this. So the Athenians left. And the people of Milos were faced with a real problem. Because they knew if they said, we're going to stand up to you, that they were going to die. Because the Athenians had told them, you got two choices. Join with us, or we will wipe out your culture. And so they had to face that question. Now, I wish if I could write the story, if I was Thucydides today and I could write the story and make it a happy story, I'd say, and the millions stood up to them, and the Athenians got scared and went home, and the millions went back to being farmers, and they all lived happily ever after. But that's not the story. The story is the millions said, I'm paraphrasing, but this was their language in so many words, we would rather die on our feet than live on our knees under your rule and your subjugation. We're free people. I wish the Athenians had gone home, but they didn't. They wiped out the millions. There are no people called the millions today. They're gone. Now, what does that story tell us? It tells us, or it forces us to ask this question of ourselves. What is there that we hold so dear that it's worth our life to give in order to hang on to it? Is it our faith? Is it our country? What is it? What do we have? Is there something in your life that you say, that's more important to me than my life? Well, I can tell you this. These gentlemen who are with us from VFW, these men and women, have answered that question. They've said that they've committed themselves to defending you and to defend me. And that's incredibly important. These 21 people who we're going to recognize in just a few minutes, and we're all going to stand, not right now, but in a few minutes we're going to stand and honor them. They made a decision a long time ago. It might have been in Vietnam. It might have been in Korea. It might have been in Germany, Belgium, France, a jungle in Southeast Asia. They made the decision, there is something more important than the immediate in my life. And I will tell you this before I step from the podium. Tonight, I will thank God that men like that existed. It's that important. Thank you for being with us today.